able to have information enough to prove what we're talking about instead of our own personal experiences, because then it becomes just, well, that's just your word, and who's going to believe your word or what have you.
Well, see, that's what science is about. But science will never prove God. Never. God won't allow it. God, one of the Ten Commandments says, thou shalt not have anything on this planet that relates to God, ever. So God would never allow that to happen. So the concept that we're going to, sure, people say, we can measure soul leaving the body. That they can do. Now, proving past lives, I know they can film our dreams. You could actually watch a dream on a computer. I mean, the technology that's there for that knowledge is growing. But the awareness of being past lives, I mean, Bishargo said he was this person in another life, and a lot of people say things, but it's only one lifetime. I'll go into detail how they killed Jesus and what happened and all that. But in Atlantis, it was the only time planet Earth was in peace. Mankind wasn't a killing race. It didn't kill. It didn't eat meat. So when people say, well, no, we'll never be at that state again. The human race eats anything that moves and always will. It's the desire. And I say the only thing that keeps man in the lower realm is toys. The toys they build and the toys they play with, meaning ships, cars, boats, planes, drones, flying surfboards, all the things they're making now, has nothing to do with spiritualism. Nothing. And it has nothing to do with saving the mankind. Now, I know much more about chemtrails and the HAARP system than most people on this planet. Chemtrails are destroying the planet. They're making it radioactive. The HAARP system is a weapon. They can use it to program every single person on this planet if they want to. And do you know Nick Baggage?
No. Go ahead.
He discovered the HAARP system where it was. And they killed his father in a plane. His father was flying planes for the Army, but they shot him down. And he spent a lot of time trying to prove that. But he put up the site about the HAARP system, and he still has it up to this day. And he actually went on Jesse Ventura's show.
Yeah, I'm probably getting mixed up with the New York accent. Are you saying HAARP, H-A-R-P, HAARP, or what?
No, H-A-A-R-P, 2 A's.
Yeah, HAARP. Okay, you were saying HAARP. Okay. I just want to be sure
right.
I'm deciphering your New Yorker or whatever that Eastern.
I'm from the East Coast.
Yeah.
But
the only thing you've got, Tommy, that you've got to do is you have to be able to tie into some actual physical information, material, equipment, and documentation, stuff like that. Because otherwise, we're out there just in the same boat.
Nick Baggage went on TV on Jesse Ventura's show. He had a little box about 6 inches by 10 inches.
Yep.
And he said, this is a fraction of what the HAARP system is. He turned it on and he was playing music inside Jesse Ventura's head. But I do with psychics, like Uri Geller. Uri Geller was the only person given an artifact from an alien that has physical proof of it on this planet.
So he had actually something
show,
physical. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. He
exactly.
actually had some equipment or had some evidence or information. That's the thing that we have to be sure that we're dealing with, and that is able to tie into and prove that where we're coming from is factual and not just theoretical or our own personal beliefs. I'm an engineer, and then I'm also religious, but I've got to be able to document and prove that the road I'm going down on is factual. So that I'm playing, and the wrong term for us is the devil's advocate, but I'll be asking questions to how do you prove this, or where do you go? Keep going. I'm listening.
Here's the thing: in the physical world, any psychiatrist or any psychologist cannot agree to 2 words: possession and abduction. They don't understand it. They won't prove it. They won't allow it to become manifested. Now, the idea, you're not going to prove demons are taking over these children. They'll say, what made this child do that? They're not going to go into that aspect. They'll say, well, it's the drugs they did, or they got beat when they were a child, which is part of it. But they're not going to get into
psychosis. They use the word psychosis, going into psychosis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I did exorcisms. When you work with a person that talks 10 different languages and starts floating, or different things start happening, and people won't. I won't record things like that, because to prove things to the world, they don't want to know anything bad. They don't want to know Lucifer's real. They don't want to know demons are here. They want to know aliens are here to save us, and they don't want the truth. No aliens here to save us. With all the technology we talk about, going other worlds, other dimensions, and all these things, what's it have to do with God, truth of spirit, and death? Death, I mean, all the New Age speakers, and just let me tell you this. My friend was brought to a secret agent person 3 days ago. He sat him down and he said, look, we're watching you. The show is Stranger Universe. Because we're watching you. Because I told you, we got a letter from them in 98, 99 from NASA. But he said, we know what you're doing. You're not going to do anything because people won't listen to you. We have enough people out there telling stories that'll tell the world what we want them to believe. And this just went on a couple of days ago. He wasn't going to release it to the public, but he put it on the show.
You have a letter. You say you have a letter that stated that. Can you make that available to me?
I can give you the letter from NASA. I got it right in front of me. The actual email that came from NASA.
Okay.
Can you give him a copy? He gave me a copy.
Well, I can send him a copy. I can send it to TJ.
Okay.
She can
to your email.
Right, through the email. We got it the night before we were going to Global Sciences to speak. And the same night, they arrested one guy at the airport in California that was coming to the conference, and he had the antidote to anthrax. Now, when I did the show, when we used to lecture for Global Sciences, some person that was coming there was always killed before they got there. When we actually went, the guy
that's why they had me come forward and to the national press where it was all over every country in the world, because then the question would come, okay, what did you do to Ken? Instead of, they usually set up that it's some kind of an accident or this or that has happened, another person commits a suicide or what have you. So that's why, I'm always out there saying, if you have any of this information and documentation, you can prove it. You need to come forward with it and make it public.
Well,
and that's why all my information is with the Roswell Research Center, the Roswell UFO
my
Museum
information is I'm proving the opposite, though. I'm proving that all the stuff, 99% of the people in the UFO world have great stories. How real are they, and how important are they?
Let's discuss that for a minute, Tommy. Tommy, tell him the name of your book, because we can talk about the psychosis symptoms or anxiety and depression and all that, but people do get delusions or, in parentheses, false beliefs, right? And hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that others don't hear. But does that mean that they're mental, or, they make a lot of movies about people that can hear, and now they have all the paranormal television shows using, different tools, maybe scientifically, or each person, right? So Tommy's book was called what? When Truth is Called Crazy. But tell him your book, because you. Go ahead.
My first book is How to See God. My second book is When Truth is Called Crazy. I went to court with the phone company. They were saying I got hurt on a UFO. Seriously. 2 years I went to court. I worked for the phone company 20 years. And then they finally dropped the case. My lawyer just retired the same day. I get a letter from another lawyer. They want $20,000 to continue the case, which I didn't have. And but the phone company dropped the case. So, I can go on stories that go beyond what people understand. But I did study with the most powerful people on this planet, meaning I had a Tibetan teacher that was able to call ships down directly. And I'm not joking about that. But again, to prove that to other people, they don't want to know somebody's powerful. If somebody becomes that powerful, the government's going to take them out or take them. But in my interim, I was a magician. I was a witch when I was a little kid. You can say warlock, but I always say witch. I learned how to use all the psychic powers. The only one that's important that people should understand is protection. Any psychic power, remote viewing, and all those things exist, and they're dangerous to the human race. But realize aliens all had those abilities.
May I make a suggestion, Tommy? May I make a suggestion? And this is just, maybe I'm enough older than you, I can get away with this. But the first time one of you say something and it's all inclusive, worldwide, and everything, people are going to turn it off, because it isn't everything. It isn't all totally 100%. It can be part of. I think so. I'm picking on your comment. I'm sorry, but that's just my side of being 77, and I like your experiences. I like to hear it, but don't say that's the only thing. Because it's not. There are always exceptions.
All right. Did you have a death experience ever?
Of course.
All right. Now here's what I'll tell you, and I know this for a fact. I listen to everybody's experience that I can, thousands of them, death experiences. They crossed over. They saw the light. They saw their mother. They saw an angel. They saw Jesus. That's the mind program. Because when you go into the higher dimensions, you're not going to see that, and that's not there. You let go of the body. You no longer male or female.
That's a positive statement you made, all-inclusive, as in other words, that is the only statement. That is not accurate to go and say that's all accurate. I'm just asking you to be a little bit more focused. And I'm not trying to kick you off at all.
I understand that. Einstein didn't prove what he said.
People to listen to you and understand, then you're going to have to tone it down to the point to where you can get your course across. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, we do Toastmasters too. We learn Beechcraft.
Wait. Einstein said a lot of things that were lies. All right, he said we couldn't go faster than the speed of light. He said we couldn't go back and forwards in time. He also said there's no object that could be. Well, I knew we could go faster than the speed of light when I was a little kid, because I saw ships going faster than that. So, and they're going across the whole sky.
And my first action would be my first comment to you would be, how could you prove that it was going faster than the speed of light when you were that little?
Oh no,
you could.
The problem is
you could. You believe.
That's the thought.
You believe. Am I correct? Tommy, you believe that it was faster than the speed of light. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Keep it to actual facts.
Okay. Do you have a ship you can prove that's an alien ship? Do you have an alien that'll come out and say hi? Nobody does. Why is that?
It's not. You're not going to find it.
100 years after. Well, no. Show the world an alien, and they'll believe it.
Of course.
To show the world God. Well, they don't believe everything. They'll believe stories.
Well, that's when we put it in entertainment.
They'll believe the truth.
And we have to work with people in this, because we have various levels, and how we use metaphysics is that which is material, and virtual reality is different because we're over in cyberspace. So we're having a lot of trouble now with children and their education as to know what's real and what's not. And the entertainment industry isn't helping much, because just the other day I saw a commercial where a bear comes up and talks to a woman in a window. Now, we believe in Santa Claus and Big Bird and all that, right? So, it's very hard for us, as, with the brains we have, how to tell the difference. And I believe this, now I said I believe, Tommy, but I feel, how's that? I feel that people that are listening to us, a lot of them are going to already have their minds made up that, things aren't the way we think, and that's okay. But maybe they'll listen, and we can discuss various topics, and we need to decide what those are going to be on various nights. And Tommy, he's left to do his thing because he's very good at talking, and he can talk and fill the airways for hours, and we don't like dead air in cyberspace. But I understand what Tommy's saying, but also understand what Ken's saying, and then also how we present it, whether it's truth or not. But, empirical study in science means you say something, you write a paper, you prove something to yourself, and your peers, Tommy, can prove it to themselves. So this is the problem we have with spiritual science, right? We can't really prove it to each other, so we have a club. I call it a club.
The truth. Well, here's the truth of spiritualism. Very few people all through history ever mentioned God. They talked about deities as gods, and the Mayans, the Aztecs, they were all following aliens. None of them followed an actual God. By what they did.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk real quick.
Yep.
Tommy,
go for
think about in folklore and in our myths, world religions. And Tommy's worked with me for years, but let's also, we got to work on this. But remember, in the Bible, whether people believe in it or not, we can call them these are world religions that have toned down into the Christian and Jews, but the Christians came from the Jews, if you want, or they believe in the Old Testament, New Testament. But in the Old Testament, and I've never asked you this, Tommy, can